Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Thursday, November the 11th. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading indicators. The three-level ZZ Semfor with Walmal. As always, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and different from Walmal. Walmal, the good old three-level ZZ Semfor. How about you tell the boys and girls and non-binary traders out there how you like to use it?
Well, it's I love that indicator, and it's I love it because it's made me a bunch of money. And that always goes and starts a love affair, right?
Well, you made the money. The indicator, is just there.
It guided me, yeah, exactly. But the 3LZZ, I don't really understand completely some of the stuff that's happening with it. I do know what it does is it goes back. You can set the indicator with the parameters any way you want, but it goes back, for instance, using the fib levels and going back. For instance, we have it set for 34 candles. Goes back and looks back 34 candles, looks for the highest high and the lowest low in that period of time, and sets levels at that point. And you can go and I generally speaking only use it off the 3-ball, sometimes the 2-ball, but essentially all it's doing is drawing those lines at those places. The 3-ball is going back to 34 candles. I don't recall how many candles does it go back on the 2-ball, Avery?
Well, first off, my modified version draws lines, but the standard version doesn't. It just puts the balls out there. Yeah, the 3-ball is 34 periods, but it's not necessarily the highest high and lowest low in the 34 periods. It has to have kind of like a 1, 2, 3 pattern, along with and actually it has to have a couple other things. But yeah, the 1-ball is 5 periods, the 2-ball is 13, and the 3-ball is 34. Which is, if you use fib numbers, it's like starting with 5. It's every other fib number.
Right, exactly. So what it does is, what's really nice about that is it puts a really nice zigzag pattern basically on the chart, if you were to look at it from that perspective. And what's good about it is, or what's really neat about it is that, it draws a pretty accurate place on the chart in terms of a horizontal line. And we're horizontal line traders, and so it gives you a good place to say, hey, something is bound to happen here at this level, at this location. Something is bound to go and happen. And because of that, we can go and make decisions. Now, technically, when you get a 3-ball in your chart and it first shows up, that 3-ball, it's not saying this is a place of reversal, okay? Even though when you look at a chart, you see 3-ball, you see it reversing the other way. But that 3-ball probably bounced up there a number of times before it got there, and finally settled into its last place. So you can look at that 3-ball as a breakout candle or a breakout ball, if you want, so to speak, or you can go play the reversal. You can go, and I tend to do both. Some people say I'm only going to go and use that as a breakout. That's a great way of doing it. Just take the trade, and keep on taking the trades until you lose. And because you're going to lose the last one, and that's okay. Lose the last one, but if you got, what we've noticed is that it'll move up probably about 3 times, or maybe even more than that, before it actually turns around and puts in a nice reversal. So you can go and if you go and you have to take all the trades, but if you do that, you can make some nice pips doing that way. And so that's what I like about it. So I tend to do that a lot. The other way is that, okay, I've noticed that the 3-ball is, let's say that, right, if you go back about 5 or 6 candles, probably more than that now, 7 candles on the 5-minute chart, or it's actually on a 1-minute chart, I'm sorry, there's a 3-ball at the top somewhere around 34.12, and the thing is, that 3-ball bounced up there a couple of times before it finally settled in, and then you got a nice little reversal off of that. But you realize that when you take that reversal, there's a good chance that, it's still breaking out. So you got to be very careful. Make sure that you got good stop losses in, or you've got a good trade plan in place as to what you're going to do if it doesn't reverse there. And so what are some of the things you can do there? That's probably information for another video at some point in time in the future. But one of the things you can do is, oh, okay, it didn't quite make it there. It's still breaking out. Well, maybe I can go and add in on the next time I get a new 3-ball and go in the same direction and mitigate how much I'm down. But that means that you got to go make sure you properly size your trades and all that type of good stuff. But I love the indicator because it really does draw those lines out on the chart pretty well.
Yeah, because in fact I just turned on the lines so they can see, one of the modifications that I did. Because back in the day, there's so many modifications that I did to this indicator. It's kind of crazy. But the important thing for the boys and girls and non-binary traders to realize about this is when you see a new 3-ball, it's telling you price is breaking out. So you almost have to sit on your hands, let that candle close, and then see what happens the next time. And what I've noticed is when you first get a 3-ball, you have to wait, like I say, for pushes where you see it moves up, at least 3 or 4 times before you want to start thinking reversal.
Exactly right. And that's the key to this. If you want to go and use it as a reversal tool, you have to go and wait for it to wait for the move to finish. And that means you got to be very, very disciplined. You got to sit there and say, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. And then finally you can go and pull the trigger. Now, and I'll tell you, here's the thing with that. Sometimes you're going to miss some trades because you think it's not done yet, and it turns around and quickly goes in the other direction, and then you say, "Oh shoot, I could have made 10 pips on that," but that's just part of trading. You miss some because of it, But at the same time, you also, by being cautious like that, you also don't wind up behind the 8-ball where you're in trouble because you didn't wait and it's still continuing its move up. I mean, I've seen 3-balls where it puts a 3-ball in and it continues to push that 3-ball up for 30 or 40 more pips. It happens, and so you can't just, every time a 3-ball shows up, you can't just go and jump in. That will not work for you. I mean, you may make some money, but eventually that's going to turn around and clobber your account. So you have to go and wait for, just like Tiro just said, you got to wait for it to settle down, wait for it to go, and you need to come up with your own method of figuring out, okay, it's gone as far as it's going to go. I can give you some hints of what I do. I wait for it to get up there, put the 3-ball in, come back down. I wait for let's say it puts a 3-ball on top. I wait for a 5-minute candle that's for a black candle or a down candle, and now I don't do this as much, but when I was first doing it, to keep myself even out of more trouble, I waited for a 5-minute candle to close and then took the trade at the open of the next candle, and it took me out of a lot of trades. And I didn't get into a lot of trades because of that. That's not necessarily a bad thing because my success rate was much, much higher. Now, with just experience playing with the indicator and playing with the charts, I've learned to say, I know this behavior, and because I know this behavior so well, I don't necessarily have to go and wait for that candle to close, although I still like to do it. In fact, how many times even this week, Tiro, have you said to me, did you take that trade? And I say, no. And then usually you say, oh, that's right, you wait for a close.
Yeah, well, and one of the things about this indicator, I've got it on a 5-minute chart right now, and you look back 4 candles, it put a 2-ball in at the bottom. Notice that this blue line, that's a support line, and the red line's a resistance. What happened? It came in, put in a 2-ball just below that support. Well, if you look down below, there's some other support that's been put in by a couple of 1-balls and a 3-ball way down at the bottom. So you see this price action happen here. And these 2 red lines were resistance. Put in support, went right through that resistance, came back down, did the same thing, came back down, and then took off. So what's the rule? You let this candle close. Then the next thing is you look at this candle, it turned red. As soon as it turns green, you take the long. And then
exactly.
because it's coming off of this support down here. So you don't even, and then you see it's crossing the line. Now you could wait for that first line cross, and here you see, depending on how tight your stop was, which should at least been down here, because this is the last line that got put in that you're paying attention to. So maybe your stop's below that line. You can see it may have gotten within a pip of it or two, but then it reversed, and there was a trade that, you know, potentially you probably had 10 pips or more in the past 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. And it does this all day. The nice thing about this is it does it all day long, you know. So, which is, and where I find this to be really incredibly profitable is you find, you know, there are days that you find that it just were range bound days, you know, they just, you know, and what was the statistic you said to me the other day? Something like 60% of the time or 70% of the time the market is ranging.
Yeah,
something,
yeah, 70.
you know,
yeah. On rule of thumb, 7 out of 10 times it's ranging, and 3 out of 10 times it's breaking out, or trending, as they say.
But yeah, exactly. Now, if you look at this, though, you know, this is a perfect tool for playing the range. You know, people say, you know, it's ranging, stay out, nothing to do, sit on your hands. Okay, if you're doing that type of trading, that's fine. That's okay. But here's a way you can make money during the ranging. You know, because when it's ranging, the price is still moving. It's just that it may be moving inside a range of maybe 10, 15 pips. Well, that's a lot of money that you can be made between 10 and 15 pips if you're able to go and figure out, hey, every time it gets up to 34.12, it comes back down. Every time it goes, you know, it goes down and hits somewhere around, you know, 33.92, it goes up. Shoot, if I can go and you know, put the indicator on chart, see that, you know, and I can play that both directions. In fact, I think I was talking to you earlier this morning. I was up like 17.4 pips, and the hour only had 14 pips on it. How do you make 17 pips on a 14 pip hour? Well, the way you do that is because we were range bound that hour when I went and did this, and I used the 3LZZ to go from one end of the range to the other end of the range. I just noticed on the chart, hey, we're ranging here. Perfect time to go and use this indicator and play this game back and forth, and that's what I did. You know, I went up, I went down, I went up. You know, and so in each one of those trades, I picked up, you know, roughly, you know, 4 or 5 pips. You know, and so it was good trading.
Yeah. So the main thing about this, though, is whatever you do, keep it simple. The worst thing you can do is put a bunch of squiggly lines on this chart and a bunch of other indicators, because this is just pure price action. It's almost like you take the first trade when it hits the line in the direction price is moving. So right here, coming out of this area between these two resistance, you see you have a green candle. It hit the line at 08. You just take that trade long. Right now you'd be up a couple of pips.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
a simple trade. And maybe you put your stop loss down here, and that's it. There's nothing more to do than that. You don't really need any other filters, because in this particular case, we just be looking just to make a few pips. But you can do it, you know, a few times an hour. So if you want to get 10 pips for the day, it might take you, 1 or 2 hours, and you can be over and done with.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that's the thing. And, you know, I talked about in a video like a week or two ago about how the fact that the ranges have been shrunk down so much on the pound dollar. You know, obviously last week we had some really nice days. In fact, what was it, yesterday we had 163 pips or something like that, something crazy. And then I think it was the beginning of the week we had another day, it was 130 pips. But all the other days are like down 60, 80 pips. They're small days. They're not like the old days where every day is above 100. Well, you know, it's harder to go and use my Walmal method and get my 10 pips. Can you get it? Yeah, you certainly can. But this method makes it a little bit easier to do it. And I just want to bring up, the reason why I bring this up is because if you happen to go and get the 3LZ to line up with a Walmal line and your range for that particular hour is still very small, man, you can cash. Yeah. You can cash in big.
And as usual, the fastest 15 minutes in trading is up. So, boys and girls, I hope that helped you. I believe the 3LZZ indicator's out there in the mother load. I haven't made any radical changes to it in a long time. Been working on other indicators, so you can pick it up over at crestlick.com. And when you sit down at your trading platform, always remember, never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.